Hello everyone, this is Monica with Monica Makes, and today we'll be working on this toadstool mushroom. It doesn't have the white little dots on top, but it's definitely possible for you guys to edit it towards the end. This is a great project for beginners. There are a couple of tricky portions, but it's really something that a beginner can handle. Okay, so the very first thing, oops, that was my cat. If you hear any grumbling or if you hear any or if you see the camera kind of sort of moving around, it's probably Nimitz. Maybe he'll make an appearance, maybe not. That's up to him. Anyway, the first thing that we're going to cover are materials. And you just need a couple of things to get started. Today, what we're going to work with is a DK weight yarn. And for the purposes of making that toadstool mushroom, you're going to use two colors. One, I picked an off-white, and this is a DK weight or a size 3 cascade yarn. This is 100% wool, but you can use whatever you have on hand. You can use acrylic, you can use a blend, you can use cotton. Personally, I love working with wool or acrylic. Either one, I really love them. So I highly recommend those. You will also be needing some scissors. If you're like me and you need to keep track of things like visually, I would also highly recommend getting yourself a notebook. Okay, so we covered yarn, we covered crochet hook, we covered scissors. I recommend you use a locking stitch marker. And this is what these guys look like. And towards the end of your project, you're going to have some ends to sew in. And these are kind of like what's left. And you're going to have to sew these in. And what I highly recommend using is a tapestry needle or a yarn needle, something like this. And finally, the last thing that you'll be needing is some polyfill, or actually, yeah, some polyfill or anything that you can use to kind of fill the stem. You're not going to really use a lot. In fact, this is actually probably as much as you will actually be needing, so it's not very material intensive. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Put my stitch marker off to the side, and we're going to be starting with this off-white color, or it kind of looks like, I don't know, it literally just looks like mushroom color if you ask me. So we're going to grab some yarn. I'll put this over here. Some quick terminology. This here is what you call the tail end of your yarn. So if you ever hear somebody referring to the end of your yarn or the tail, this is what it is, and it's just where the yarn ends, where it stops. Now, the part or yeah, the end of the yarn or the side of the yarn, the part of the yarn that is connected to your ball is what you call the working yarn or your working yarn. So what we're going to do is we're starting off this amigurumi with a magic ring. And I just explained those just that terminology because, well, you're going to see how it ties in. This is how you make a magic ring. You're going to have your palm facing up. And what you're going to do is you're going to have that tail end going facing downwards or towards your pinky. And I'm going to use my thumb to hold the yarn here between these two fingers. And you're going to grab the other part, the working part of your yarn, and you're going to wrap around towards the front of your fingers, and you're going to make an X here. See that? That's an X. And then you're going to rotate your fingers, and then also use the other part of your these last two fingers to kind of hold the working part of the yarn off to the side. Next, actually, let's do that one more time. You have this part of your yarn facing downwards, the tail end facing down with your palm open. You're going to use your thumb to place on top of the yarn right here. Holding that in place, you're going to use your other hand to grab the working yarn, and you're going to wrap around your 2 fingers, creating that X down here. You're going to keep wrapping, and you're going to turn your hand so that your fingernails are facing towards you. You are then going to grab your crochet hook, and you are going to go under the first loop and over the second. And you're going to grab that second part of the hook and pull through, and you're going to twist clockwise. Let's do that one more time. Holding the tail end downwards, placing your finger right there to hold the yarn, and then you're going to wrap around your 2 fingers, create your X, use your thumb now to hold that in place. You're going to rotate your fingers, you're going to hold the yarn there, and then you're going to put your crochet hook under the first loop and over the second. You're going to pull the second through the first, and then you're going to rotate your crochet hook clockwise. You are then going to focus on the tail end of your yarn here that you've been kind of holding. What you're going to do is you're going to yarn over as you would with a regular stitch, and you're going to pull it through that loop that you created. And that is how you create your magic ring. I have another tutorial on just specifically the magic ring in case you want to see it with bigger yarn and a bigger crochet hook. So if you need to get more detail, you can go ahead and watch that video. You now have what kind of looks like a jumbled mess here. What we're going to do is we're going to clean house. So the tail end of your yarn is kind of looking bunched up there. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out that tail end of your yarn so that you are free to use the magic ring. You can then pull this tight and hold your yarn as you normally would. Perfect. You now have your magic ring. I'm going to move this aside because I have some notes. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to place 6 single crochets into your magic ring. So you're going to yarn over that working yarn, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. And that is your first stitch. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. That's your second one. Now we need 6 more. Pull up a loop, pull through 2. That's 3. And we'll just keep going. 4. 5. 6. And that is round 2. Now, we call it a magic ring because you can then pull the tail end of your yarn and it'll close up your piece and make a cool ring. The very next thing that we're going to do is we're going to work a single crochet and then an increase. And we're going to do this 6 times. So this here is your first stitch. So we're going to do a single crochet into that first stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. And very important thing here, pro tip, is that is going to be the first stitch of your round. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our locking stitch marker, and we are going to mark that as the beginning of round. Oh, just a tiny hair there. We're going to mark that as the beginning of our round so we don't lose track. So that is a single crochet followed by an increase, and all an increase is 2 single crochets into 1 stitch. This is our next stitch here. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. That is 1 stitch, and now we're going to go right back into that same stitch, and we're going to make another single crochet. So now you see here that you have 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, and that is all. That's basically what an increase is. So for this part of the pattern, it calls for us to work a single crochet and then an increase, a single crochet and then an increase, and then a single crochet and then an increase until you get to the end of the round. So right now we worked that single crochet, and this is our increase. Next is a single crochet, and then next is an increase. So we put 2 single crochets into that 1 stitch. Single crochet is next. Next is an increase. Okay, and then you see that the next stitch is the beginning of your round, so you know that you've already went all the way around. Next, another thing that's really important to do when you're making amigurumi, I'm going to pull this up. Another thing that's really important to do is to count your stitches. So at the end of this round, we should have 9 stitches. Let's go ahead and count. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So now you know that you have 9 stitches and you're exactly where you need to be. In round 4, we're going to be working a single crochet all around. However, we're going to be working it into the front loop. Now, if you're like, well, Monica, what the hell is a front loop? I'm going to show you right now. So this is the next stitch, and you see that there are 2 little parts to it. You have, let's see, let me grab something here. You have these 2 legs of the stitch. The one closest to you, or the one nearest to you, to your body, is the front loop. So if you ever see FLO, this is front loop only. That means that you're going to do a single crochet into just this front loop here. Oop, this front loop here. If you see back loop or BLO, then you'll know that it's this one that's further away from you. So for the purposes of this tutorial, we're going to be working single crochets into the front loop only. So it's going to be right there. You're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and that's your first single crochet. And we know that we need to go ahead and mark the beginning of our round, or BOR. So we'll just go ahead and work around front loop only, and I'll go ahead and I'll work these with you. Oh, it's being a little tricky. There we go. Again, this is the front loop here. Oh, getting caught there. Boy, it's difficult to see with a camera in your face. All right, so how many stitches have we worked? We're at 1, 2, 3, 4. Need to get to 9. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So what you'll see, and what we did by working that front loop only, we kind of made a little table here, and that's going to be the base of your mushroom. By working the front loop only, we're kind of creating that flat surface there. And now we're back to the beginning of the round here. And you're going to single crochet for 8 rounds as you normally would. So no more back loop, or sorry, front loop. You just crochet as you normally would. And this is, we're back at the beginning. So grabbing both under both legs since we're crocheting normally. And that is our first stitch. I'm going to go ahead and move into the second one really quick. And then I'm going to look back 1, 2 stitches, and I'm going to place my stitch marker there. So because we're working with something so small, and because our stitches are kind of facing inwards, what I like to do is I like to poke the bottom down so that I can see, and then push it flat, push your work flat so that you can see the tops of your stitches. And that just helps me work a lot faster, and makes my life just a lot easier in general. So let's go ahead and work around. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as we're turning, I'm also turning my work and kind of squeezing the sides together so that I can see the tops of my stitches. Cool, so we've made it all the way back around. And what I recommend doing is either grab just like a piece of paper. So we need to go all around for 8 rounds. Sorry for my messy writing. 8 rounds. We've done 1 round. So I've gone ahead and I've marked that first round. And let's go ahead and keep going. I got some feedback in my other video where some of you guys really wanted me to kind of just keep crocheting instead of telling, saying like, we'll be back, meet me back when we're ready for the next round. So yeah, if you guys just want to go ahead and crochet along with me through the entire process, here it is. All right, so this is the beginning of the round. 1, 2, This time I worked 3, so now I'm going to count back 3 stitches. That is 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that. This 3rd stitch there is the beginning of a round. Alright, so now I have 3 stitches. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And we're back to the beginning of the round. Let's go ahead and mark down that we worked our next round. I'm going to pull some more yarn. And let's unclip this. And we'll do 1, 2, mark, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Cool, so as you can see, I'm just shaping the work a little bit so that the bottom is a little flat. Our cylinder is taking shape. So the stem, the base of our mushroom is taking shape. Now let's go ahead and mark that next round is done. We're 3 rounds in. Remove our stitch marker. Okay, I kind of made the camera a little closer to me, so hopefully you'll be able to see better. Okay, that's 1, 2 stitches, 3, 4, press the sides in together, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we're to the end of the round. Let's mark it up, and we are halfway there already. Alright guys, so I'm just going to keep working through and kind of just crochet along with me. I'll go ahead and I'll put some music and you guys can just kind of jam out. I'm not really going to talk much so that we can just chill. Okay, it's me again, and we've reached the end of our final round. That's round 8. And this is what you guys should have now, and that is the stem of your mushroom. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and start filling. So grab your polyfill or whatever you're using to stuff that stem and your stitch marker off to the side, pull at the ends a little bit, and then you guys can go ahead and start stuffing. I used a very tiny amount and using a pencil to just try to stuff that in there. I'm using a very small amount as I go, only because I don't want the stem or the mushroom to look really plump. I think that's where I went wrong the first time. Let me see if you may remember. This was my first attempt, and I think that I overstuffed this, and that's why it looks rounded at the bottom and rounded at the stem, is I just put way too much polyfill in there. So right now, start with a very light amount of polyfill. Like so. And kind of shaping it as I go. I like how the bottom is still flat. I want to make sure that that is flat there. I like how the stem is kind of still thin looking and not too plump. And that's kind of the effect that I want, although I think I still want to add a very tiny amount more to the very top. Okay. Cool. So you've gotten this far, and what we're going to do now is we're going to start our increases. Okay, now that that is stuffed, you can get rid of this. And start once more. Let's add some greenery. Okay, so the next round, we're going to work a single crochet. Sorry, we're going to work 9 increases. So in every single stitch, we're going to be working 2 single crochets. Just one, and then the second one into the first stitch. So I've worked 2 stitches into that first beginning of round stitch. Let's go ahead and mark the first one. We'll move on to our next stitch, and that's this one here. Oh, sorry, that's this one here. And we're going to work 2 stitches. 1, 2. We're going to do that all around. Okay, you see now that your work should begin to fan out, and that's going to start creating the underside of your mushroom. Um, and by the end of this round, you should have 18 stitches. For this next round, we are going to work a single crochet followed by an increase all around. Let's go ahead and get started. So it'll be a single crochet. I'll go ahead and mark there. Followed by an increase in the next stitch. Two. Single. Increase. So you're going to work that pattern until you get to the end of the round. Single crochet followed by an increase. And by the end of this round, you should have 27 stitches. And you'll see that your work is now definitely beginning to fan out. And you may even see like little mushroom-like flap, little ridges kind of at the edge here. This next round is the one that's going to be a little more involved. So you have to pay attention here. This next one, the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to work a single crochet and then an increase. You're going to do this 4 times. So it's a single crochet. Let's go ahead and mark it. That's the beginning of our round. Single crochet and then an increase. Let's go ahead and bring this back. So that's a single crochet followed by an increase. And we're going to do this a total of 4 times. We've done it once. We left off with an increase, so we're going to work another single crochet followed by an increase, done it twice, followed by, wait, let's go back. Single crochet, increase, that's 1. Single crochet, increase, that's 2. Okay. Single crochet, increase, that's 3. And then a single crochet and an increase, that's 4. Okay, so we've now worked that part of the round. The next part of the round, we're going to work 2 single crochets. That's a lot easier. So we work 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet as we normally would. The next step is we're going to work the single crochet increase combo. But this time we're going to do single crochet followed by an increase, and we're going to work this 4 times. Sorry, don't listen to me. I'm going to work it just twice. So single crochet, increase, that's 1, single crochet, increase, that is 2. I'm going to flip this over since I didn't need more room. Cool, we're done with that. So now we're going to work 6 single crochets. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Next, we're going to work a single crochet increase combo. We're going to work that 3 times. Single crochet, increase. Oh, you see how I worked 2 right there without even really thinking about it? I kind of do that a lot, and I end up forgetting to mark things, and I think that is like what I have trouble with the most, is just keeping track. Because like I kind of just start crocheting and then I just want to go. So yeah, let's hold me accountable. Okay, so we need one more single crochet followed by an increase. Got stuck there. And that is our final one. And you see here how you only have 1 little stitch left over? Well, all you need to do is do 1 single crochet and you're good to go. So by the end of this round, I believe you should have 35. Let me go ahead and count that. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, we have 36. And this is where we're going to switch over to our red yarn. So what you're going to do is you're going to leave a tail here, and we're going to go ahead and cut that. And we can go ahead and move this yarn off to the side. And we're switching over to our red yarn. So what I did already was cut my kind of cream / mushroom colored yarn, leaving a significant tail. And I left like maybe like an 8-inch tail. Is that what that is? So then I can transition into my new color. So I'll go ahead and remove that beginning of round marker and situate my crochet hook. And I'm going to go ahead and move this tail end and bring it towards me. And we're going to go ahead and grab the color that we are transitioning into, which is this cool, I love this burgundy red color. What we're going to do is we're going to hook that burgundy red color so that you have your tail and then your working yarn. And what you're going to do is, oh, don't listen to me, actually. Okay, you're going to pull it in and pull in that tail towards you. And what you're going to do is you're going to first insert your hook, but we're only inserting the hook into the back loop. Yes. So remember we talked about in the beginning how we worked front loop only. We're going to be working the back loop now. And this is the back loop here. That is the part of, or like, these are your two legs of your crochet stitch. This is the front loop, the one that's closest towards you. The one in the back loop is the one that's furthest away from you. And we're going to be working these, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to insert into that back loop. And you see how I have this little kind of like hook here? I'm going to hook that onto my crochet hook. And then I'm going to pull that through that back loop. I'm going to grab this tail. And I'm also going to bring it close to the cream colored end and bring it towards me so that I can now just focus on my yarn for my transition color. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through as I normally would. So that's our first stitch. Okay, now let's work the next one. And this is a little tricky now. Let's try to move these off to the side. Okay, back loop only. All right, that's your second stitch. Let's go ahead and maintain that good habit of marking our beginning of round. Now you're gonna go break, you're gonna work all around, working the back loop only all around. Oh, my cat's getting fussy. Okay, I'm going to pause you right there because I kind of want you to see what's going on. And for those of you who wonder why, so why are we only working the back loop? So as you can see, we worked that back loop so that we can make that red color kind of pop at the edge so that we don't have the cream color popping at the edge. And that's kind of why we did that. So that this red color kind of wraps around into the bottom, kind of like a real kind of mushroom would. So let's just keep working until we get to the end of the round. And try to make sure to keep your yarn taut. I'm sorry, I haven't mentioned this before, but try to keep a tightish tension so that you can reduce the amount of kind of tiny holes that you'll have. But if you do end up having like some holes like this, that's okay. We get better as we go. All right, guys. Keep working all the way around. I don't know if I've mentioned yet, but if you want to speed it up around these parts, you can, or by going into the settings and by adjusting the playback speed to maybe like 1.25 or 1.5, whatever you want to speed through. Or if you want to go ahead and just crochet along with me, you can definitely do that as well. Fantastic. And this is what your work should look like now. The red being the predominant color and your kind of tan color covering just the bottom. Oh, and see, like this is kind of what I mentioned when I said if you don't have like a really strong tension, you'll end up getting like little holes like this. See, so we're not all perfect. You'll still end up seeing some things like that, but that's totally fine. And yeah, this is what you should have by now. Okay, we're back, and the very next thing that we're going to have to do, and we should be on round 18 now, is we're going to work 5 single crochets followed by a decrease, and we're doing this 5 times. So this is where we're first going to start working our decreases, and all a decrease is crocheting 2 stitches together. And I'll show you, oh, that was my cat. I'll show you guys how to do this momentarily, or you can also watch. There's probably going to be a video that I'm going to be posting soon, kind of like demonstrating how to do a decrease with bigger yarn in case you need to really get into like looking more closely at it with bigger material or like bigger yarn. Anyway, let's move on. So again, that is 5 single crochets followed by a decrease, and we're working those 5 times. So let's go ahead and remove our stitch marker. And our tails again should be facing us. What you can even do is you can even tuck them in a little bit here so that they can really stay out of your way. Whatever works for you, whatever makes your life easier. Okay, so we're gonna work 5 single crochets. Your very first crochet, single crochet will be this one here, and it'll be the one that is still that mushroom off-white color. So that's a 1, 2. Now that I've worked 2 stitches, I'm going to go ahead and mark my first stitch. So it's 1 and 2. Perfect. So we did 2. And that's 3, 4, and 5. So we're hitting our very first decrease. Let me try to get a little closer. And again, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be crocheting 2 stitches together. So the ones that we will be crocheting together are this stitch and this one here. And the way that we're going to do that is really simple. All you're going to do is go into the next crochet as if you were going to crochet it normally. You're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. And instead of yarning over again and pulling through, we're not doing that. We're going to go into the next single crochet, and then we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. So now you have 3 loops on your needle. Then you're going to go ahead and yarn over and pull through all 3 of them. So now your 2 single crochets just became 1. The only thing that I'm going to say to watch out for is your tension here. You're going to want to make sure that you're keeping things pretty tight so that when you're crocheting them together, they'll create kind of like a tighter fabric so that, again, you don't see large holes and you don't see your polyfill poking through. Okay, that is our very first 5 single crochet pattern followed by a decrease. Let me go ahead and grab another sheet of paper so that we can go ahead and keep track. I just remembered that I had like these perfect little cards where we can keep track of what we're working on. Okay. So then this very first one, visually, you had to work 5 single crochets followed by a decrease. And we're going to want to do this. We're going to want to work this sequence 5 times. And we've already worked 1. So let's go ahead and keep going. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've already reached our 5th single crochet. Now we're going to work another decrease. So go in as you normally would, yarn over and pull up a loop, go into the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now you have your 3 loops on that needle or your crochet hook, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. Easy peasy. And that is our next. That's the next one that we worked. That's number 2. Let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And time for the 3rd decrease. Now our decrease. Okay. It's our fourth one. One, two, three, four, five. Now we're gonna decrease again. And then the very last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put one more single crochet in there to finish it off. Cool. Okay, and by the end of this round, you should have 31 single crochets. Okay, we're moving on to round 19. In round 19, we're going to go ahead and work 5 single crochets, followed by a decrease. But we're only going to work this 4 times. So let's go ahead and take off our safety clip or safety marker, stitch marker, interlocking stitch marker. And we're going to work again 5 single crochets. 1, 2. Let's go ahead and mark the first stitch. 3, 4, and 5. So before I go into my next decrease, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make some changes here. So yes, we did work 5, but then we worked 1 single crochet, just in case anybody, if you look back at it when you're working through your notes again. So again, should end up with 31. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we worked. Okay. So then now we're going to work our decrease next. It's going into that 1 stitch, and then that other stitch should have 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through. There's your first decrease. I'm going to pull up my working yarn, and I'm going to go ahead and mark down. That's our first one. Now we're going to move on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull up a loop, pull up your another loop, and pull through all 3. I'm going to go ahead and pull a little bit just to tighten up that tension. And I'm going to mark that that is we just finished our second sequence. Let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Time for a decrease. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. And now crochet through all 3. That is our third sequence completed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry. Let's go ahead and decrease. Okay, so we just worked that sequence, and now what we have left are 3 single crochets. So we'll just finish those off. 3 single crochets. That's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, next, and this is the purpose of our single crochets, is you'll start to see that we are now decreasing the amount of surface area that we're working on, and we're closing our work so that we can create kind of like that the very top of the mushroom, sort of something like this. Okay, our next round, actually let's go ahead and count how many stitches we have. Okay, at this point we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. So we should be at 27 single crochets. Our next round is going to be a lot easier. What we're going to do is we're just going to single crochet all around. And the purpose of this is that we're just going to go ahead and add some height to our work. That time I worked 3 single crochets, so I'm going to go ahead and count 3 back and mark. So just go ahead and single crochet as you would and follow along. Or should I say, you can go ahead and follow along if you want to, or you can speed right on ahead and meet me at the end. Whatever you'd like to do. And if it's starting to get a little tricky because your kind of work is pointing inwards, what you can do is kind of squeeze the very top again, like we did when we were working on the stem, so that you can more clearly see the very tops of your work or the single crochets. This should also make your crocheting go a little faster. Okay, we've reached the end. The next portion that we're going to be working on will be a 4 single crochet followed by a decrease sequence. And we will be working this 4 times. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets followed by a decrease. And this is where you're going to start seeing me squeeze both sides of my work together a little more. Oh, and let's go ahead and mark. It's 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, followed by a decrease. And you should have about 3 single crochets left. So go ahead and work those. Oops, sorry. It's 1, 2, and 3. And then you work those 3 single crochets. And by the end of this round, you should have, oh, let's go ahead and count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Should be at around 23 single crochets. The next portion that we're going to be working on will be a 4 single crochet followed by a decrease sequence. And we will be working this 4 times. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets followed by a decrease. And this is where you're going to start seeing me squeeze both sides of my work together a little more. Oh, and let's go ahead and mark. It's 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, followed by a decrease. And you should have about 3 single crochets left. So go ahead and work those. Sorry. It's 1, 2, and 3. And then you work those 3 single crochets. And by the end of this round, you should have, oh, let's go ahead and count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Should be at around 23 single crochets. All right, our next round we'll be working 3 single crochet followed by a decrease, and we're going to work this 4 times. One, 2, 3. Don't forget your stitch marker. 1, 2, 3. Let's push our work together. Followed by a decrease. And that's 1, 2, 3. Decrease. 1, 2, 3. Decrease. 1, 2, 3. Decrease. And then you're going to work another 3 single crochets. And by the end of this round, you should have 16, 17, 18, 19 single crochets. Our next sequence, and you can start seeing the trend that we're kind of just decreasing the amount of single crochets. But the very next one that we're going to work on, around 23, will be working just 2 single crochets followed by a decrease. So here I'm just going to work 1 and 2. Going to mark my work. Oh, and we should be working this about 4 times. So we just worked 2 single crochets. Now we're going to work our decrease. And that was number 1. Did I work this 4th one? Yeah, I think I worked these. See what I mean about having a hard time keeping track? All right, 1, 2, decrease. 1, 2, followed by a decrease. 1, 2, decrease. 1, 2, and decrease. Sorry, that was a really loud truck that just went by. Perfect. And then we have, okay. And then it's 1, 2, 3. And let's go ahead and count our stitches. That's a 1. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. 15. Okay. This is what your work will start looking like now. And if you go ahead and pull that outwards or extend the work outwards, you'll start seeing that it's really starting to take shape and looking like a cute little mushroom. And at this point, if you want to add a little bit of plumpness, you could go ahead and add some polyfill to the sides here if you would like. I didn't add any. I kind of really like how it just kind of like stands flat or a little more flat. But again, it is your preference. So we're going to move on. And the next round is going to be, you can probably guess the trend now. We're going to work 1 single crochet followed by a decrease. And again, we're going to work this 4 times. And I'm not going to lie, this is where it starts getting a little trickier as far as this stitch marker getting in the way and working all around. Okay, let's go. We can do this. You can do this. So it's a 1 single crochet followed by a decrease. And it'll look like 2 stitches. So now I'm going to mark that first stitch. I'm also going to write down that I worked my first decrease. Another pro tip is that here's where you're going to have to start kind of pulling on your yarn so that your tension is kept pretty tight. Okay. Now it's 1, and a decrease. One followed by a decrease. One followed by a decrease. Yes, Nimitz, I know. And here's where we actually have some room to work another decrease. So let's go ahead and work one. Sorry, we just did our fourth. Let's work one more decrease. And we'll end with a decrease. So we ended up doing 5 here. I apologize. And let's go ahead and count how many stitches we have. And again, this is going to be the trickiest. It's getting trickier and trickier, but we can do this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're at 10 stitches. And finally, on our last round, what we're going to do is we're going to work a decrease. It'll just be pure decreases, and we can likely get about 4 decreases in. So let's go ahead and do that. Dropping things. Okay, let's tighten up our work. And so again, just pure decreases. I'm going to try to make the sides of my work kind of get close together so that I can just look at the tops of my stitches. And the very first thing we're doing is a decrease. So let's yarn over, pull up 2 loops there, and work through both. And that'll be our first stitch. Let's go ahead and mark it. Set stitch marker. And oh, lovely, they're passing by again. Okay, we worked 1 decrease. Let's work our next decrease. And make sure you pay attention here, because since we're working our decreases so close together, it's going to be a little difficult to make sure that you're working into the correct stitch. So if you see here, we've already worked this stitch. So we're going to work not to this stitch, but the following stitch there, because this one already is tied into our decrease. So next decrease. There we go. That's 2 decreases worked. Going into our next one. And I'm not gonna lie, this part is where this stitch marker was getting on my nerves. All right, that's one there. Cool. So next decrease. And just at this point, guys, like however you can do it, try to do it. I tried to squeeze my work together here so that I can get the tops of my stitches showing. I'm trying to like move this thing out of the way. Sorry, my nails are so messed up, but whatever. Our nails aren't always gonna look nice. Okay, I just worked that stitch there, so we're gonna work, oh my gosh, sorry. We just worked this stitch here, so we're gonna work this one. And this one. Cool. And we should have 2 stitches left here that we can decrease. I'm gonna go ahead and mark this next one. And so we're actually gonna be able to work 5 decreases here. We can fit a 5th one. Here we go. Here we go. No. Okay, so the very last thing we're gonna do here is you are going to pull up a tail. There you go. And so your work should look something like this. I have about this much out, and I'm gonna leave a bit of a tail. Maybe like 4 or 5 inches. I'm leaving quite a bit more, but that's just my preference. But 4 or 5 inches should work just fine for you. And you're gonna go ahead and, oh, nope. Sorry. You're gonna pull this through here. Awesome. And you can go ahead and remove your stitch marker now, because you're really close to finishing this off. And this is what she should be looking like. Just a little mushroom. Okay, and you can go ahead and shape it however you want. And what I try to do is try to kind of shape it so that the top's a little pointy, and then our sides are kind of flat. Perfect. All right, next step is you're gonna go ahead and grab a tapestry needle or a yarn needle. We're going to thread it. And then you're kind of gonna look at the top of your work. There should be like sort of a little hole left up at the top. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of sew into it so that we try to close off like any little parts of that hole. And at the same time, as we're closing off those little parts of the hole, we're also making sure that our tail end is safely secured so that our work is safely secured. And I'll maybe I just put in like 3 to 4 stitches, and honestly, that should do it. If you're thinking of making this into like a little ornament, one thing that you can do is you can go ahead and insert your needle close to where that tail end is sticking out of your mushroom. And then you can pull that there, and then do this here so that you can have it be able to like hang. So that's an idea that you can do like when you're making ornaments. As for now, I'm not going to turn this into an ornament. He's just going to be like a regular old little mushroom. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull that through. And you can go ahead and cut that tail as close to your work as possible. And that should now be safe and secured. We're going to go move over to the stem, and you're going to basically do the same thing that you did up at the top. You're going to thread your needle. Oop. Sometimes it gets a little messed up, and that's fine. Let's thread that needle. Oh, I didn't get all of it. So, yeah, working with yarn can sometimes get a little annoying, but let's just try to make it happen. Okay. Ooh, if you have a needle threader, this is where they come in very handy. Let's see, did I do it? Yes, awesome. Cool. And now we're gonna basically do the very same thing down here. I'm just trying to find just a good place to fasten my work. All right, I went in and out about 3 times, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in one last time, and then you can kind of like stick it somewhere in deep into the work. This is where we're going to pull a little, and then we're going to cut. We're going to pull this a little bit, pull the tail end of your yarn a bit, and then cut, and then that other piece of your yarn should be somewhere like inside the filling. And that's it. You made your very own little mushroom now, and you can go ahead and use it to decorate, or you can just have it hanging around anywhere in your house. Thanks for following along. I'm planning on making some more tutorials as I go, but as I go, as I grow, as I learn how to make new ones, I should be also releasing some like actual patterns, so patterns that will have like instructions pretty soon. I might be charging for them. It won't be that much. It'll just be a little bit, but just a little something to compensate my time. But so I'd greatly appreciate it. But yeah, go ahead and follow me along. This is Monica with Monica Makes One, and I hope you enjoy your mushroom. I hope you enjoy making it, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.